name's Sharon Clardy. I'm the Director of Strategic Projects here at Workato. I'm also incredibly passionate about the Salesforce platform and the ecosystem as a whole. I'm a user group leader for New Hampshire and also a Salesforce MVP. Today, I'm going to be talking about some popular Workato integrations, connecting Salesforce with a number of different applications. While this presentation today is not going to deep dive into any recipe building or kind of technical approaches, it should provide some inspiration for different use cases on how you can connect Salesforce to other applications that you have and that might be applicable to your organization. So hopefully a number of these will resonate with you, and let's jump into it. So this picture might look a little bit familiar to you. Your apps might be different, but I bet if you're on this call, you're using multiple applications at your company, and that Salesforce is at the center. It's the hub for all of your organization's activity. I know I have heard more times than I can count, and actually I've probably said it more times than I can count. If it's not in Salesforce, it didn't happen. And the challenge today is, now with this proliferation of applications that your organization uses, how does Salesforce stay the hub? How does everyone stay connected? How does information flow from Eventbrite to Salesforce over to Stripe or to Twilio, depending on which applications you use? You can see there's a roadmap that connects all of these applications together. Information's got to flow back and forth and kind of take left turns and right turns. So today we're going to go over a couple different, 15 actually, different scenarios, and hopefully some of them resonate with you. So for the different 15 scenarios we picked, these are them. They really kind of cover the gamut from marketing to finance to sales to support to just general business operations and process. This doesn't even cover all of them. This is just the top 15 that we've kind of felt and seen from customers so far this year. But there are even more. So if something on here that you're curious about integrating or connecting with different applications and we don't cover it today, make sure you reach out to us. We could talk to you about some of the other opportunities that are out there. Workato has over 150 connectors plus a REST adapter and an SDK. So you pretty much, if you can dream it up, you can integrate it with Salesforce, and which can really enable you to pass information, so data integration as well as workflow automation. We're going to cover a little bit for each of those areas today in these different use cases. Plus, we have a little extra bonus at the end. So if you stay to the end, you'll get a little extra surprise. So let's jump right into the first one. Accounting apps. There are a number of accounting apps that we have native in Workato that you can use to integrate to Salesforce or other applications. And many organizations really struggle to keep finance and sales in the loop. For example, finance might want to know when sales closes a deal, and they might want to know that without having to run a report or to go manually look up data. If the customer is a brand new customer, they want that information, that pertinent customer information, to flow over into their system without them having to create it or without having to schedule once a week batch updates of importing files. They want things to happen automatically in real time or near real time. The inverse is also true. Account owners want to know the status of invoices for their accounts so that they're armed with the most up-to-date information about their territory. This struggle can be managed by creating a small number of recipes in Workato to integrate and automate your processes between your accounting apps and Salesforce. As a friendly tip, remember that in Workato to go check the browse recipes to see if other people of our community of recipe builders have already built an integration, say, to QuickBooks Online in Salesforce, so that you can hit the ground running and just customize an existing recipe versus having to create something from scratch. Salesforce and event apps. So there are a number of different event apps out there. Some of the popular ones we see, Eventbrite and GoToWebinar. Connecting those to your CRM provides an understanding of which of your prospects and clients are interacting with your marketing activities. This is really critical to execution and reaching the goals that your organization has. Having those event applications, create contacts or leads, connect them to campaigns automatically, helps your sales team get a level of understanding of their engagements from their customers in their territory, which can help result in higher close rates. You can even take this a step further. This is where you can actually have a lot of fun. You can build out a workflow engine to send notifications to different channels based off of criteria you set. So maybe if one of your VIP customers registers for an event, you want to be notified with a post in Slack, or you want the account owner to be sent a text message. Really, the possibilities are endless. It's kind of a way for you to say, when different events happen in all of these different apps we use, where do we want that information to go, and how can we make it actionable? So that's a couple of use cases that I've seen that have really helped move the needle for some companies. Contract apps. So if you are using some popular contract applications such as like a DocuSign or a Write Signature, you need to really consider how data is going to flow back into Salesforce for tracking, and you want to be able to easily send information, send out contracts, and gain that e-signature process set up. This is actually something we use really extensively at Workato. We populate a DocuSign template with data from Salesforce and other applications and fully automate our entire e-signature process. So you can really streamline the process of sending out contracts, getting them back, sending up updates, and sending out alerts when something is not sent back. There's a lot of possibilities here for some automation and workflow design. So spreadsheets, I might be aging myself a little bit here, but that was one of my first entries into playing around with data was using spreadsheets and kind of CSV files. And so that's kind of where I started to get a love for information and data and how I could turn it into information. I remember using a pivot table, and I was just so incredibly excited to see how I could take this kind of grouping of data pieces and actually turn that into information. So we all love our applications, but sometimes you just need to manage data in a spreadsheet, such as Google Sheets. But that doesn't actually mean that integrations and automations are out of the question. It's actually quite the opposite. Working with spreadsheets or CSV files, you can actually open up a world of possibilities of getting information to who needs it. Maybe you have a legacy system or a system that doesn't have any APIs, but you can run reports and schedule exports. With Workato, you now have a way to take that information and create interactions with that data with your mission-critical on-prem or cloud applications. So it really opens up an endless possibility of integration and automation fun for those who like to geek out with data like I do. File sharing. So now that you have these data files, a lot of people choose to store them on popular file sharing apps such as Box, OneDrive, or Google Drive. And, putting those files out there, you can open them up so that your partners can put files out there, customers can put files out there, depending on how you choose to use these applications. And by doing that, you can actually sync those documents between a number of different apps, such as like Salesforce. So you can actually take a CSV file that's loaded up onto Box, parse that, pass that data over to Salesforce, search for information. If it doesn't exist, update it. And then based off of what you create, maybe you want to go and have another step that happens to post to Slack or to a text message or to any other messaging apps that we have out there. So you can really build end-to-end workflow, and it's not just about putting a file up. It's where you could take file sharing, kind of extend it to your CRM and all of your other applications. And that's actually, I've seen some really interesting use cases where legacy applications have been able to actually enter into this world of integration and automation by being able to connect to a popular file sharing app such as Box or Dropbox. And now that data can actually flow into a Salesforce or an ERP or accounting solution. Databases. So, some of those legacy systems that we were just talking about, they might you might be one of these, such as a SQL, Postgres, or a MySQL. You might have a popular application that runs on one of these databases that doesn't have an API that you can connect to, but you can get to the database tables underneath. Or maybe it's a homegrown or a legacy system that you've built that doesn't have an API, or it's not something that you're going to reproduce on one of your other platforms. And you need to still be able to get the information that's in there or put new information in there. You can use Workato to connect to those databases, to Salesforce or many of the other applications that we've talked about today, or any others that you could possibly dream up with some of our REST Adapter or SDK. So you can connect at the database level of, adding a new row to a table. So going all the way down to that level versus, we think of, maybe the way you interact with Salesforce, you don't necessarily think of it as interacting with database tables, but more of functions. But this possibility exists too, and it's something that could be pretty useful and powerful for you as another way to extend the Workato platform. Support applications. You might have kind of gathered a theme by now, is that I believe understanding the 360-degree custom review across all of your applications is something that's critical to success. So connecting support with your finance, your sales, and your marketing team can help move the needle on upselling, increasing net promoter score, increasing customer or partner referrals. So having this data transparency is actually more than just syncing information across systems. It's about managing that information to improve the relationships you have with your customers or your partners. And the sync is just the first step to enable that process. You can create alerts and notifications based off of criteria met across multiple applications. Like, let's take this use case for an example. How awesome would it be to see in Salesforce via a chatter post when a customer chats with support on Intercom? But maybe you want an additional text message or a Slack post sent when that account has an open opportunity that's more than $10,000 and is set to close in the next 30 days. And that is actually taking data and turning it into actionable information and putting it in the context of where people need to see it. So it's all about, you can have all the data in the world, but if it's not something that you can turn into actionable, things that are going to move the needle for your organization, then it's just data that sits out there. So this is one way that you can take that data and connect it all together so that you can turn that into actionable steps for you to take to move the needle for your organization. Project management. Oftentimes, you'll implement a project management app to help organize and provide transparency. To organize your data and streamline processes, such as connecting your time and material to your accounting and ERP system, just makes the user experience for your employees better. It provides the timeliness of data getting and information getting where it needs to the parties that need to see it. You can sync events and milestones with popular calendar applications. You could even post updates to a customer-facing Slack channel to ensure that everybody is getting the right information at the right time. We work with a number of project management apps, and I really think if you guys are using any of these project management apps or considering them, being able to connect those both with your CRM as well as any financial or ERP system that you have can really help make a difference for your employees and your customers. ERPs, ERP apps such as NetSuite, or Financial Force, or Intact, these solutions are robust, and you want to get the most out of them. As a former Salesforce admin, I am very familiar with the concept of getting more return on investment from the same platform. So if you've invested in, say, Salesforce and an ERP solution like NetSuite, you want to get the best ROI that you can. So one way to help achieve this is by creating bi-directional integrations between them. A great example would be taking orders processed in an online shop such as Shopify, which could automatically create and or update customers and opportunities in Salesforce, and then actually go and process inventory fulfillment in NetSuite. Now, many customers who use these tools have some kind of checkpoints incorporated into the process, so that a full end-to-end integration that automatically happens might not meet your needs. But you can incorporate human approval checks throughout the process, as needed. So there's a lot of different possibilities for how you can connect these to incredibly powerful platforms, ERP systems, in Salesforce, and any of the other apps that kind of fit inside that ecosystem to move the needle and make your lives easier, which ultimately is what we want technology to help do. Forms and survey apps. I would be surprised if anybody on the call hasn't either sent out forms or surveys to your customers, to your partners, to your fellow coworkers, and sending the form or the survey out is one thing, but then what do you want to have happen afterwards? And so with Workato, you can automate the process of sending the form or survey. You can wait for, like in SurveyMonkey, a really great use case that I've seen customers use is when a case in Salesforce is closed, they automatically send out a SurveyMonkey survey, and then Workato actually waits to hear back. And when that survey is filled out, you can take that data and push it back into Salesforce. And then create your workflow and actions that you need to define afterwards. So it might be that if the survey had a poor rating for the agent, you might want to flag that for a supervisor to review it or to reach out to the customer. Or maybe the response was a glowing positive review for your product. You might actually want to send that over to marketing. Maybe marketing uses Trello to track that information. So you can automate that process, create that whole workflow engine, define the different steps, and do that all within a Workato recipe. Contact management apps. A number of customers have an additional contact management app they use, such as Google Contacts or Full Contact, and sometimes it can be a little bit of a pain to keep those in sync. Records might update incorrectly, and more often we actually see duplicate records where the logic, you can't define a custom dedupe logic that fits your business. So wouldn't it be great if you could search based off of email address, and if the email address isn't found, search by phone number and then by first and last name. And you can customize that based off of how the data lives in your system. So that and you can also even go a step further and saying if you really want to make sure that you keep your contact management apps, pristine, that if instead of creating a new contact, you actually write to, say, a Google spreadsheet, this is something, here's a contact that we couldn't find, do you want this to be added? And maybe you want to go and massage that data first before actually going in and inserting that into, say, Full Contact. So you have the ability to define the process how you want it, and using Workato recipes to power that. Now let's talk a little bit about calendar apps. I think all of us live in our calendars. If my calendar isn't working, I don't know where I need to be. And I think that's true across the board. So syncing your Salesforce events to personal and team calendars, sending out invites to Google Calendars with your Hangout instructions, or for a virtual meeting. We use our calendars every day. So this is just another way you can extend your usage of Workato, and Workato as a platform in another use case that you could address to solve some pain points for your organization. Marketing apps. There are, one of the things we haven't talked about yet today is that, for a number of these applications, you'll see that there are some pre-built packaged integrations to Salesforce. And those integrations typically have like a predefined set of data that they'll move from point A to point B, say from Workato to Salesforce and Salesforce to Workato. And what you'll find as you explore your integration use cases is that you're going to see, and I think it'll be a theme, that you're going to want to customize the integration to fit your needs. And that these pre-built, prepackaged integrations have limited customization capabilities. So with Workato, we can enable that customization to happen. You can create an integration based off of exactly how you use Workato and how you use Salesforce, to figure out which information you want to move and what process steps, kind of engine you want to build to enable your marketing automation, so that you can send those smarter and more targeted email communications. Part of the reason that we use Salesforce is to track customer interactions and also employee interactions. So employee time tracking is an important part of understanding our relationship with our customers. And if you use one of these popular timesheet applications such as T-Sheets, Replicon, Namely, etc., you can actually take that information, sync that over with Salesforce so that you can calculate customer profitability. And you can even sync that information over to your financial systems to provide the transparency that's needed. If you're using any of those tools for tracking time and material projects for professional services, you can automate that process so that your finance team doesn't need to go into another system to get the information that they need. That information can be fed over to them on whatever regular schedule basis that you need. So throughout this presentation, I've highlighted a handful, maybe more than a handful, of use cases where interactions from one or more application can trigger a notification event in a messaging app, such as Slack or Twilio, HipChat, etc. If you're in if you use one of these tools and you use it robustly at your organization, having the ability to take that, those interactions that happen with your core mission critical applications and send those to a messaging app can be incredibly powerful and streamline processes of getting access to information. So, for example, if you're using Slack, you might actually want to take those notifications and interact with it. So it's more than just having information pushed to Slack. You maybe want to say, I want to create a new record, or I want to search, create, or update records by sending a Slack command. So we have the ability to do that. One of the things I would definitely recommend is checking out Workato's very own ForceBot, which I'll talk about in just a minute. And this gives you the ability to interact with your Salesforce system directly from Slack. So let's go right over there. So you can check out ForceBot by going to getworkato.com/ForceBot. ForceBot has a set of predefined notifications for Slack from Salesforce, and you can even extend ForceBot by using the Workato platform. So you can create custom integrations. We provide a predefined set to kind of let you hit the ground running, so you're not starting from scratch. But if you do want to build custom integration, the capability exists. One of the favorites of mine from a custom integration is setting up what I call the 360-degree view for accounts. So that would be, say that you're using Intact, Salesforce, and Zendesk for your finance, sales, and support organizations. Maybe you want to be able to see directly from Slack how many open opportunities an account has, do they have any overdue invoices from Intact, and how many support tickets have they submitted in the last 30 days. And you could build a recipe that you could type in, show 360 degree of Boeing, and that information will be posted back into Slack for you to see. So you didn't have to go into all three of those applications and dig for that information. You're able to see it right where you are. ForceBot is currently in a beta release, so definitely recommend that you guys check it out, and we'd love to hear any feedback too that you have. So we are offering a 20% holiday discount for any new customers or community plan upgrades that happen before the end of year today. And we'd love for you to take advantage of that. Please contact us for more information on how you can take and get this discount code. I really do hope that you've heard some use cases that have provided some inspiration for how you might take your Salesforce system and connect it to your ecosystem of apps at your organization, and say, how can we make this all sync? How can I make Salesforce still be the hub while still using the applications that we want to use for those different department or different silos, such as marketing, sales, finance. These were just the top 15 use cases that we have seen and kind of compiled for 2016. But this is really just kind of the tip of the iceberg. If you're wondering about a scenario that you have, remember I mentioned I didn't go into it too much today. We do have a REST adapter, so if it's a REST API, we can typically connect to that application. We also have an SDK if you want to roll up your sleeves a little bit and look at a little bit of code. If that's something that's interesting to you, definitely reach out to us and we can share more information on that. But we also have scenarios such as like a Salesforce to Salesforce. If you happen to have two instances of Salesforce at your organization, maybe by different companies that all roll up to one, we can integrate that too. So there are still a lot of possibilities for integration and automation fun that can be had that involves Salesforce and your other applications at your organization. We are also offering a chance to win $100. So after this webinar is done, we will be sending out a very short post-webinar survey, and those that fill out the survey will be entered for a chance to win $100. We will be drawing that on the 19th. At 12 p.m. Pacific time, and so we'll reach out to the lucky winner. And let's see if we have any questions.